modified family. We out here in the Honda library today. I'm squinting, it's a beautiful day. I'm looking outside. Looks like it's afternoon, it's 5 p.m. in the evening. So today, let's get back to work on the B16. I am itching to get to work on my wagon. There's a lot I need to do. My garage still has a lot of stuff in it that needs to be cleared out so we can get the wagon inside. So right now, I'm just doing jobs that are of low cost because I already have all the things here and just putting things together. So I want to finish the top end on this one, possibly put the timing belt on. I've seen it a few times. I've been instructed on how to do it. I've watched a few videos. So I'm gonna see if I can set the timing correctly. I think my housemate said he had a crank pulley bolt for me, or that we had spares, so I can get the crank set where it needs to be. I know I have a crank pulley, like one of the Type R N1 ones from Honda sitting by it. So give me 5 on my black hand side, let's go. Here we are. This is one of the spare B16a2s. I ordered a few things and noticed a few differences on this one. This one is stock through and through. There is no kind of modification. Even has the crank angle sensor on the oil pump. Usually I don't run those, so I'll run the pump that doesn't even have a spot for that. And we've done a lot of things to get this prepped, and I've gotten a lot of help. So let's zoom in and really see what's going on. So down here, we did another video where we got the oil pump and gasket back on. I replaced it just because I didn't know the condition of it, so I got it all out. There was also a bolt snapped off in here, so that I was able to fix that. There was another bolt stuck in here. Neither of them damaged the threads, so I just need to find one more of these cool shouldered bolts that hold the lower timing cover on. I also need to find one more of these long ones. This is my crank pulley, the one I was talking about. That's the part number. This comes off, it's one of the versions of the Type R one. Some of them have all the accessories. I'm not running any accessory other than the alternator, so I don't have that single one. Yep, my housemate put that on for me. I had to get a new timing cover for the outside and for the front. Already have the lower one. And then I was waiting on this hose right here. This may not be the right hose. Usually the B16 has a different one, but I think this one has a GSR, what's this, coolant pipe on it, which has a different shape. So to illustrate, as we come over here, this is how it should look like on this B16, and this is the part number and the hose that fits on there, just sitting there. And then on the scroll over here to this, that's the one that the GSR one has. So I'm hoping this hose and this part number by Gates will fit into that spot. It looks like it's pretty similar, so I'm just hoping for the best. So over here I have all the internal pieces and they are all cleaned off. I will take some of this assembly lube and put it on the cams to make sure they're lubed up. I will tap these down nice and smooth. I know where each one goes. This is the one that has the VTEC dowel. Make sure it's clean in there, perfect. So that one's gonna go in there. I have all these. As you remember, one of them was broken. We were able to get it out and I had a spare one. So these will all go in, and then I will also hopefully get this timing belt on. This is actually a Gates timing belt. I don't know if you can see it on there. It is printed on there. It does say Gates. There you go, T227. So this should be the right one for the B16. Just the regular one, not the fancy one with the hard blue cover. And I will also need to get these PR3 cams, keys, and bolts on. And I also need to find some RTV because that's going to be important. I believe it goes around these cams as well as a cam seal, which I should have. So I will find that and I'll put it all in. I will set up the camera when I tighten everything down, but we're not quite to that point. Got to get a few more things situated first. It's really easy for me to get ahead of myself, and I'm full of existential dread because I'm out here by myself and I want to make sure that I'm doing this correctly. I made sure this dowel pin was in place with that O-ring. Wants to pop out because it hasn't been smashed down in there. I put that assembly lube only on the cams, just right across the top, and it'll drip down, and as it turns, it's gonna hit everything below that, and it's gonna be all covered, which is good. So I'm gonna start with this one. I found a new cam cap. I needed that. RTV's right there, and then I'm gonna put some all over the cam cap and then put it into place, and I'm gonna lightly put it on with the cam back in its actual spot. But I noticed there was RTV left on here, so I took a very light action wire wheel, cleaned it out. I also prepped this surface, right? Oh, sorry, that side. It's funny because it goes on the bigger side right here. So I cleaned everything out of here. And then I was over here and I was trying to stick the plug in there. I'm just like, this is too big for this spot. I'm like, because this holds the cam and this holds the cam plug. So I'm kind of dumb, but I'm gonna get that on and I'm just gonna hand tight the 2 bolts that go on top of here. Sorry. I'm just going to hand tight those because everything needs to get on here, and then I will torque it from the center out in sequence, and then I'll make sure everything's tight. And I'm pretty sure these go to 9 or 10, and I might just snug them up by hand because I'm sure I could do 10. And these ones, I believe, go to 20 from last time. And I'll put it on a time lapse for that. I just want to get everything in place and make sure I get RTV in all the right places before I put it together. Oh man, while you guys were gone, so much stuff happened. I got all these in place. These are just hand tight, just so they're anchored down. I tap these down gently. Same with these ones. I also remember that I could not put these on until I lubed up these gaskets, like cam seal gaskets on this side. So I got RTV on those, put those in place, and then as I was putting this one on, I noticed that the spring was coming off. So these seals are a lot like the, I want to say rear main seal and this middle oil seal, where it's a rubber seal and then there's like a spring inside that keeps it secured down. Well, that spring was coming out, so I took this back off, fixed the spring, got RTV all over because I already greased these, so I'm getting grease, RTV all over the place, or like that assembly lube. And then I got that fixed, put this back down. Then I'm like, well, now I need to check this one to make sure I didn't mess this one up. And so this one's good, this one's good. So yeah, just setting these up. As we saw, that dowel pin and O-ring are in there. And then these go on top. They are numbered. They say it right here. It says 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 2, 4. Right there. I don't know. They're the right order. 1, 2, 3, 4. They're in the right order. And then what else? And they're all facing. They have an arrow that tells you where they're going, and they're all pointing this way towards the distributor side. So I'm gonna get those rails on, and we'll do that in time lapse because it's not very interesting. And those will all get torqued down in sequence to 20, and then I'm just gonna hand tight these the rest of the way down to 10 foot-pounds by hand.
No good deed goes unpunished. My first mistake was trusting at all. No good deed goes unpunished. The second one was letting down my wall. No good deed goes unpunished. Shame on me for caring about you. No good deed goes unpunished. It's all due to me and I am through. No good deed goes unpunished. My first mistake was trusting at all. No good deed goes unpunished. The second one was letting down my wall.
We're almost there. That was a bit of a trial and tribulation. I first, before I started, noticed that I had those rails facing the wrong way. I believe they're supposed to face towards the crank, so I opened up the B16 that's sitting right here, which a housemate helped me set up, and made sure that was the right way. So yes, now I feel like it is in the right orientation. And then I also noticed that these end bolts right here go under this thing, so I had to pull these back off to put these back down, and then all those were going back on, and then we came over here, and these gaskets were popping out because they were like on the edge and they weren't in these covers. So I had to fix that. So now they are both inside. So I just decided to make all of them loose so I could torque them all down together. And then once I got them all in there, I took all the 10s to hand tight, and I double checked them to make sure that they were all where they need to be. I should have also made it a point to make sure that these little dish pieces, that's where the key goes on those cam gears. So I'm gonna put the cam gears on next, but I hope it's not a struggle because they're not facing up, which would have been the easier way to do it. For that, I can do off camera. So if it is a struggle, you won't see it. Cam gears are on. I don't have one of those cool lockers, so I just put a bolt right here and gently press up against it so that as it tries to spin, it uses the tension of the other one to hold it in place. And whenever I don't know the JDM specs for something, I just go German and make sure it's good and tight. And so that's not coming off, and I put thread locker on there. And both the keys are in. Definitely a lot easier to do with the cams out or them facing up. but I made it happen so that these are secure and they're going to spin together. I need to turn the crank till it indicates that it is on, I believe, this mark. That should be TDC for this. And these are both facing up. And then I also made sure that these are facing together. And also probably get my housemate to proof my work, because I'm pretty sure I did everything correctly. And before it actually goes into a car, I'll probably retighten all those, just hit them again to make sure they're at the right torque spec. But this is just getting it prepped, because I'd love to be able to put the timing cover on here, and then it could just be stowed away for safekeeping in the event of catastrophic motor failure, which I've actually never had happen with a B series motor. I've only blown up D series motors. I always blow a chunk out of the block, but I don't have that problem with these. I had to call in the big guns on this one. I could not get this bad dog on for the life of me. So Zeronius came through, and first thing I was doing wrong was I needed to loosen up this tensioner and to get that to move freely, and then make sure the timing mark, that dashy right there, was lined up with that on the oil pump. And then these were lined up correctly, both those lines on the cams, and they'll also face up. Then the belt wraps around this pulley on the oil pump, comes around the tensioner, comes around the water pump. I like to call this oil pump, but it's just water pump for that one. And then comes around, you have to make sure it seats into all these grooves, comes back around, then it gets cranked around twice, and to make sure it lines back up to the spot here and there, so you know it's in time. Then you can tighten this tensioner, crank it again, make sure it's all groovy. Then this bad piece needs to go on before the pulley can go on. Progress is progress. It seems like I am reinventing the wheel. So this is a B16a2 bottom end with the crank angle sensor, which we vetoed because I don't ever actually use that, because it's just annoying, and the distributor, I think, serves the same function. And when people get rid of that and the distributor, they put that little one up here that reads that same information. I don't know. This isn't a race car. It's just like a straightforward build. Now, I'm pretty sure that these are specific to the PR3, which is the B16, the PR4, which is the B18 LS, and the P72, which is the B18 VTEC. So I had to get the right one of these. Got it. Outside cover, they're all pretty close, but I think they're also pretty specific. I think the VTEC ones are the same, and the non-VTEC ones are the same. So there's a little bit of difference of like where the holes and spacing are. So I have 3, possibly 4. That one says P7 or PR3. That one says PR3, and this one says PR3. And what I've been doing is I was noticing how I had to remove one of the crank angle bolts, sensor bolts, which was like this long one that's rolling around here somewhere, because it's not like one of these, because these are what the shouldered bolts look like that hold the timing cover, because that's where it would mount on here. And so as you can see, I had the new seal right there to go on there. I have it on top and bottom, so it'd be all nice and not rattly. And no matter what I would do, I couldn't get the cover to fit because it kept hitting this piece right here. And then I'm thinking to myself, okay, well, this seems like it may have different mounting points, because this I thought was a mounting point and not this and that one, which are the ones I was trying to use. So I think this is a mounting point, and then one of these two, I think this one, because that's the one that had the broken bolt in it. So as you can see, I have 3 of these, and I went through 4 of them, and then I found this one, because I'm like, maybe this is the one. So I checked the part number on this one, and it says P72. It's very hard to see. Right here. P72. So this is a GSR one, but my GSR, I'm pretty sure, used one just like these ones. So it must have been the oil pump, corresponding oil pump. And this will actually clear this little lip. I think it actually goes, that's why it moves like this. So I'm gonna put this one on. I'm gonna change this little gasket to my nice new one, and then we should come back to finish this video up. This will be all together. Thank you for sticking with me like always. I think I'm up to 80 subscribers. I hope that you guys are interested in what I'm doing. Any suggestions, let me know. And if anyone else has run to this, also let me know. So let me finish this up real quick. All right, finishing up. So we had a new cover. So this is the PR3 cover. This is the right one to go with the mount. I think all the mounts sit almost in the same place. But to give you an example of why I couldn't use the other covers I have two PR4 covers for the LS sitting right here, and you see how both their bolt holes are directly across from each other, and these ones are staggered, so that's why this will not fit. So non-VTEC, VTEC, that's what we needed. But yeah, I guess if you have a GSR oil pump, which also has a crank angle sensor, if it's for, I want to say the OBD2 models, because I don't think OBD1 models had those, but see, this is all in nice and tight. Someone already made this custom hole. If you wanted access to this, I don't know why you would, because you can't take this off without removing this cover anyway, which means you have to take this piece off, and that's the tensioner. That's good to have access to that. I'm not sure why, once again. Well, I mean, if you're doing stuff up here, I could maybe see the relevance of that, but uses a little cover that covers this one, so all of them have that hole right there, and I'm just not shelling out the extra money for that. Any other Honda heads, let me know if you've ever run into this or seen this. And then I found a little woodruff key right here, and I slid this on. It's almost all the way on, and I got a little thread locker on this crank bolt, and I'm just gonna thread it in there gently. But this is the end of our video. The title card of this will be what this looks like all put together, and maybe at the end I'll just throw some completed pictures. The valves aren't done, they need to be adjusted, but because this has no particular card it's going to go into, I don't see a point in having that done right now, because that I definitely need my housemate's help for. So this is just going to be tucked away, and hopefully next we'll put his I think it's H23, H22 on the engine stand, and this will get pushed under the spare motor shelf, and this will get pushed under the spare motor shelf. And because I'm still working on a budget of negative money, I can start working on the wagon, because that motor's already ready to go, and I shouldn't have to buy anything, I do not think. All right, Modified family, until I see you next time, peace.
Too well the blood I shed for you. Good conscience